Welcome. Let's focus on the role of Fortuna point in KP Astrology. Now, this particular concept, the Pars Fortuna or the Fortuna point, is imported from the Western astrology and blended into KP. We know that Sri KSK integrated many concepts from Western astrology, such as the Placidus cusp system, the Western aspect. Similarly, the Fortuna point is also a Western astrology concept that Sri KSK blended into KP astrology. Many videos on KP astrology and the Fortuna point provide some kind of academic information, but they lack clarity on the impact of Fortuna point in a person's horoscope. And most importantly, whether Sri KSK actually kept on using the Fortuna point or not. So that's a very important question because based on Professor Krishnamurthy's various notes and articles, it appears to me that at some point Sri KSK may have lost interest in the Fortuna point. But in this video, we are going to look at how to calculate the Fortuna point, what it is, as mentioned by Professor Krishnamurthy. So let's navigate to the Jyotish portal where we are going to take an example horoscope, and I will explain you how the Fortuna point is calculated, and then we will look at the practical use of the Fortuna point. I'm going to make use of the late Sushri Lata Mangeshkar ji's horoscope. So let's first look at how the Fortuna point is calculated. The formula is take the longitude of ascendant and then add the moon longitude and then subtract the sun's longitude. So the formula is very simple. And when we say the longitude of ascendant plus moon longitude minus sun longitude, then all these has to be taken from the 0 degree Aries. So let's look at the Lataji's horoscope and note these values. So for this, what you have to do is that when you click on this option, the planet detail. So let's click on this and then it will bring you to this particular table from where we can then note down the longitude of sun, moon, and also the ascendant. So the ascendant, you can see the ascendant is over here. This is the ascendant. But since we want it from the 0 degree Aries, so what you have to do is that you have to look at this value. This value over here is from 0 degree Aries. Even in this table where we will be looking at the sun and the moon, so this particular column will provide you the value from the 0 degree Aries. So you don't have to do any calculation. You just have to note down these values. So let's say note down the value. So the ascendant is 56. So I'll just take 56 just for the sake of the simplicity. And then the moon is 107. And the sun is 162. So we have to add. So this becomes 163. And this is 162. Sun is 162. So what we have to do is 163 minus 162. That's about 1 degree. So the area is 1 degree. That is going to be the Fortuna. In Jyotish portal, it's already calculated, but this is the formula. Now, sometime when you have the the ascendant plus moon is less than the sun's degree, then all you have to do is add 360 degrees more. Okay. So sometime when the values are in the negative, or sometime when the values are exceeding 360 degrees. So at that time you have to add or subtract 360 degrees. So here we find that the Fortuna is in 1 degree Aries. If you look at the this particular row, it's already calculated. Fortuna is 1 degree Aries, and the sign lords, nakshatra, star lord, sub lord is all given over here. But the idea is that you should be knowing that how this is calculated. The placement of Fortuna in the horoscope is also given over here. So this is the cusp horoscope of Lataji, and the you see this FO. So that FO is for Fortuna. So Fortuna is in 1 degree Aries. So in the cusp chart, it is in the 11th house. So now we know how to calculate for Fortuna, and then we know, just like any other planet, it's placed in the cusp chart. So now we are ready uh, to assess the result of the Fortuna in Lataji's chart. Now, when I was looking at what Professor Krishnamurthy has mentioned about how to use the Fortuna, so there was some inconsistency. In one of his notes, he has mentioned that Fortuna gives fortune to one in the period of the Lord of the sign in which it was posited. So here we see that Fortuna is in Aries. So the Mars is going to be the period. Now it's not clear whether it's Dasha or the Antardasha or the Bhukti. But let's assume that whenever Mars Dasha or Antardasha is active in Lataji's chart, then the Fortuna will become active. But that's not true. I mean, she was born in Ketu Mahadasha, and her career actually started off in from the Venus Mahadasha. So this particular rule from Professor Krishnamurthy was not very true. And then in some more horoscope, when I tested, it didn't work out. His second rule is that about the sublord of the Fortuna. So if you look at the sublord of the Fortuna, so you find that the sublord of the Fortuna is Venus over here. So in some way, you say, okay, this person is going to be fortunate in the Venus period. But the thing is, when you apply this in maybe 5 or 10 horoscope, then you find that this rule also falls apart. There is no guarantee about this rule. And when we say that this person is going to be fortunate in the Venus Dasha, now Venus is like a 20 years long period. So there are ups and downs in the Venus period. So when I started applying these couple of rules, then I was not very satisfied with neither the rule number one or the rule number two. Then, then in one of his notes, professor has mentioned about making use of the Western aspect. You see, the Fortuna is a concept that is taken from the Western astrology, where the progressed horoscope or the transit has more uh, uh, importance. So the Western aspect signification is also mentioned by Professor K.S. Krishnamurthy. So I thought it was making a very departure from the Vedic astrology, and then on top of it, I did not find it very useful. In some of the videos, I heard about Fortuna as some kind of a Bhagyodaya point. That's also not true. You see, if you look at celebrity like Amitabh Bachchan's chart, what is Bhagyodaya? I mean, his career is full of ups and downs. So he has some blockbuster films and some at the same time some super flops, and then he went through a very lean period. He had to file bankruptcy, and then again he came back. So Bhagyodaya and all that is a very vague kind of a term. So if you tell your client that the Bhagyodaya is going to happen in 30 years or 32 years, I don't see any value in these kind of a prediction. So overall, I didn't find any substance. But let me show you what happens when the Fortuna is in various houses, because the placement of Fortuna in the cusp chart denotes certain things. So let me also show you. This is what mostly for the academic purpose. Now this is the list of the Fortuna point in various houses. So let me read out a few for you. Fortuna in the first house. Fortuna in here means the first house brings personal vitality, confidence, and a strong self-expression. Fortuna in second house brings luck with finances, possessions, and self-worth. So it's I will put these things on Jyotish portal somewhere. But like I mentioned, this is more like an academic kind of a thing, because what happens is, let's look at Lataji's chart where her Fortuna is in the 11th house or in the 11th cusp. So let's make a note of it and then go back to her chart. You see her Fortuna is over here in the 11th cusp. Okay. So now Fortuna in the 11th cusp. Fortuna is tied to friendship, social groups, long-term goals, support from influential networks often helps you means the person to rise. Humanitarian or tech-based ventures are favored. Mostly the 11th house, whatever it denotes, is tied up to the Fortuna point over here. So none of these things are actually, if you ask me, none of these things are applicable in her chart. But sometimes when you write these things and give to the client, they say they will kind of stress their imagination and they will agree, yes, 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 we have a social group and things like that. But I don't think there is any special value in mentioning the Fortuna point in a person's horoscope. So what do we do with the Fortuna? Well, like I mentioned, that uh, it seems to me that Professor Krishnamurthy himself did not take much interest in the Fortuna. And then if you look at the predictive framework of the KP Astrology, you will not find much value for the Fortuna in that the framework. Now, one of the things is the transit over the Fortuna point. So we know what the Fortuna point is. Like in this horoscope, it's already mentioned 1 degree Aries. So in some of the presentations, I have seen that when ascendant moves over 1 degree Aries. Then this is going to happen daily. So this is where the Fortuna point becomes active. Similarly, when moon moves over the Aries. Okay, so this is going to happen just once in a month. Similarly, the when sun moves to Aries, 1 degree. So Aries 1 degree means now this is about a full day, because sun is usually remains 24 hours in 1 degree. So similarly, you can just keep on stretching, and for Jupiter 1 year and Saturn another, duration. So, but like I mentioned, I did not find any substantial or useful thing. The only thing I could not experiment was the both the Jupiter plus Saturn, the both transit over the Aries, over the Fortuna point. Here in this horoscope, it is Aries. Okay, so this kind of a test I was unable to do, because I wanted to collect some horoscopes, especially of the family members, and about 8 or 10, and then look at the transit of Jupiter and Saturn together. Because Professor Krishnamurthy has mentioned about the Jupiter and Saturn transit, but unless we run some test, we are not able to show. So that's all about the Fortuna in this video, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video. There is another thing that now we have this the a new option, the knowledge hub. So I'm going to discuss about this new option in some other video. So thanks for watching.